Who allowed her into this school? Is this a scholarship or a charity case? The entire class went silent as the words sliced through the air like a sharp knife. Heads turned, eyes widened. No one said a thing. There she was, Naliaka, the only black girl at Daehan International High, Seoul's most elite and expensive high school. The kind of school where students arrived in black cars with private drivers, wore designer uniforms, and lived in penthouses owned by their billionaire parents. Naliaka stood out like a lone tree in a desert. Her skin, her accent, her calm walk, all of it felt foreign to them. Her school shoes weren't from Balenciaga, her bag wasn't Prada. She didn't have a Rolex on her wrist or an iPhone 16 Pro. She walked with a quiet confidence that most couldn't understand. And the boy who spoke? That was Jiho Minth, rich brat prince of the school, son of the man who funded the science wing. Handsome, cruel, untouchable. Everyone feared him. And worse, they worshipped him. Jiho didn't like being ignored, and Naliaka had ignored him since the first day she walked into their classroom 2 weeks ago. He walked toward her desk now, his sneakers squeaking lightly on the shiny marble floor. His group of loyal friends Bouri, Min Hyuk, and Jun Seo watched with amused smiles, ready for entertainment. Naliaka didn't look up. She was writing something in her notebook, slowly, deliberately. Jiho stood over her desk and leaned in, his cologne a mixture of arrogance and peppermint. "I said, are you here on scholarship or charity?" he repeated. Naliaka didn't flinch. She just turned the page in her notebook, calmly, quietly. That silence made Jiho angry. "Oh, I forgot," he added with a smirk. "Maybe she doesn't understand Korean properly. Maybe they don't have schools where she comes from." The class chuckled. A few gasped. Some looked away, uncomfortable. Still, Naliaka didn't respond. Until she did. She slowly raised her head and looked him straight in the eye. Her voice was soft, but steady. "Do you always talk this much? Or are you just bored because no one at home listens to you?" The class erupted. A laugh from the back. A loud "you" from someone else. Even Min Hyuk looked stunned. Jiho blinked. His face turned red. He took a step back, caught off guard. He opened his mouth to say something, but the bell rang before he could recover. The teacher walked in, carrying a tablet, completely unaware of the tension in the room. "Take your seats, everyone." Naliaka sat calmly. Jiho slowly walked to his chair, his pride wounded. The rest of the class stared at her in awe. The new girl had just stood up to the school's most feared student. At lunch, Naliaka sat alone, as always. Her tray had a small bowl of soup and white rice. She ate slowly, enjoying the silence. Around her, groups of students gossiped, laughed, snapped selfies with filters, and watched her from a distance. Jiho sat at his usual table, but his eyes kept drifting toward her. She didn't notice, or maybe she didn't care. Borai leaned in. "Are we going to let her talk to you like that?" Min Hyuk added. "You should have put her in her place." Jiho didn't respond. He was too busy watching her. The way she ate, the way she sat upright, her back straight like she had nothing to fear. That night, at home, Jiho couldn't stop thinking about her. Meanwhile, Naliaka sat in her tiny dorm room, folding her uniform neatly for the next day. She had come here for one thing: excellence. Not friendship, not boys, just her future. She didn't know that everything was about to change, because the Prince of Daehan International was now watching her, and he didn't like what he saw. He was curious, and curiosity, in a place like this, could be dangerous. The next morning, Naliaka walked into class and stopped at the door. Her seat, third row from the front, by the window, was covered in sticky rice and kimchi sauce. Someone had dumped an entire lunch tray on it. Her chair, her books, and even her pencil case were soaked and dripping with red-orange mess. A chorus of snickers echoed from the back of the classroom. She didn't react. She walked in slowly, her eyes scanning the mess, then looking around the room. Jiho was leaning back in his chair, spinning a pen between his fingers. His face was blank. Bo-ri couldn't stop giggling. Min Hyuk had his phone out, clearly filming. Naliaka walked up to the desk, pulled out a napkin from her bag, and began wiping the top clean. The class watched in silence. The teacher hadn't arrived yet. Junseo shouted from the back. Maybe you should call your tribe. They'll come help you clean. More laughter. Naliaka stopped wiping. She turned around and faced them. Are you all this obsessed with me? She asked, loud and clear. The laughter paused. Do you wake up thinking about how to ruin my day? Are you that bored? Or is this what passes for fun when your daddy buys you everything except confidence? Dead silence. Her words landed like thunder. Jiho sat up straight. For the first time, Bori didn't smile. Minhyuk lowered his phone. Naliaka took a deep breath, grabbed her book still damp hand, carried them to an empty chair at the back. She sat down, opened her notebook, and began writing. When the teacher walked in moments later, the class was unusually quiet. That day, Jiho couldn't focus. He kept glancing at her. She sat alone as usual, but something about her silence felt powerful, unbothered, unmoved, and it annoyed him. During break, Bori leaned in again. She's asking for it. Jiho didn't reply. That afternoon, Naliaka checked her locker. Inside was a folded piece of black paper. She opened it slowly. It read, You think you're smart? You haven't seen anything yet. No name, just a small drawing of a crown. Jiho's usual symbol. She smiled slightly, closed the locker, and walked away. Later that evening, Jiho sat in the back seat of his father's luxury car, scrolling through his phone, but his mind wasn't on the group chat or the memes. It was on her. Why wasn't she scared? Why didn't she cry like the other kids did? Why didn't she run to the principal or beg to transfer? She was ruining his rhythm, and he hated it. Back at the dorms, Naliaka sat at her desk, drying her notes with a hairdryer. Her tiny room was nothing like the massive suites other students had. Her scholarship covered a simple dorm, one window, one bed, one desk. No fancy lights, no fridge, no silk curtains. But she didn't complain. She opened her planner and checked off another day. Her goal was clear: graduate top of her class and earn a full ride to university. Nothing else mattered. But now, Jiho-min had made her his problem. And problems in Daehan International didn't just go away. Later that week, something strange happened. In biology class, Mr. Huang asked a tricky question about genetic mutations. Most of the class stayed quiet, except Naliaka, who answered fluently and even corrected the teacher's notes on the board. Jiho, sitting 2 rows in front, turned his head sharply. That night, as he sat in his gaming room surrounded by LED lights and unused textbooks, he found himself Googling Kenyan education system. Why was she so smart? Why was she different? And why, for the first time in his spoiled life, did he feel challenged? Rain poured hard that morning, soaking the marble courtyard of Daehan International. Black umbrellas danced above expensive shoes and custom bags. Students rushed in, giggling, sipping overpriced coffee from the campus cafe. Naliaka didn't have an umbrella. She stood at the gate, drenched, holding her backpack above her head. Her cheap sneakers squished with every step. Inside, Jiho watched through the glass window, sipping his caramel macchiato. He saw her, wet, alone, walking like nothing bothered her. And for some reason, it bothered him. You'd think she'd at least buy an umbrella, Minhyuk said, scoffing. How embarrassing. Jiho didn't laugh. He just watched her, eyes narrowed. Later in class, Naliaka arrived late and wet. She didn't explain, didn't apologize. She walked in with soaked clothes, wrung out her sleeves, and sat down at the back quietly, calmly, like it was just another normal day. The teacher said nothing, but something changed that day. During break, the principal walked into their class. He cleared his throat. We've been observing all students, he said, and I want to acknowledge one who's performed exceptionally in the last 3 weeks. Everyone looked around, confused. Naliaka Uma, he said. Top scores in biology, literature, and math, the only student who submitted all assignments ahead of time. The class went silent. She'll represent the school in the Seoul International Science Contest next month. Naliaka blinked. Yiho sata pod. That contest was his thing. His father had sponsored it. His name was already listed in last year's brochure. Everyone expected him to win again. It was tradition. Now a scholarship girl someone he had mocked was taking his spotlight? Later that day, Jiho cornered her outside the library. "What is your problem?" he asked, arms crossed. She looked up at him calm. "Excuse me? You're doing all this for attention?" She laughed quietly. "I didn't know succeeding was considered attention. Seeking now." He stepped closer. "You think you can just come in here, act like you're better than everyone?" "I don't think I'm better," she cut him off. "But I am different. That's not my fault. It's yours if it scares you." He froze. Her voice was steady, not angry, just real, honest. Then she stepped past him, entering the library like he didn't matter. Jiho stood there, stunned. No girl had ever spoken to him like that. No human, really. He was used to people bending, smiling, laughing at his dry jokes. But she didn't care. And deep down, that made her powerful. That night, in his penthouse suite, his mother entered his room. "You've been quiet lately," she said. "Are you sick?" "No," he replied flatly. "You're not hanging out with your friends. No calls, no parties, no complaints." Jiho looked up. That girl, the one who made top scores. "You've been distant since she came." His mother folded her arms. "You're not involved with her, are you?" "Involved?" Jiho scoffed. "She's just irritating." His mother leaned closer. "We didn't raise you to mix with people below our class. I know how this works, Jiho. These girls play smart to marry into wealth. Don't embarrass us." Her voice was cold, sharp, final. Jiho clenched his jaw. Meanwhile, in the dorms, Naliaka sat at her desk, staring at the contest form. Her hands shook slightly. She hadn't expected recognition. Not this soon. She missed home. Her mum's warm chai, her siblings' laughter, Nairobi's noisy matatus. But she was here now, and she had to survive. She picked up her pen and signed the form. Far across campus, Jiho stared out his window, fist tight. If his parents thought this was about class, they had no idea. Because this wasn't about wealth anymore. This was about her. And he couldn't stop thinking about her. It was a Friday when Jiho first followed her. Not on purpose. That's what he told himself. She'd left the science lab late. Her backpack slung over one shoulder, headphones in. Most students had already gone home in their chauffeur-driven cars. But Naliaka walked. Past the tennis court. Past the koi garden. Down the back path most students didn't even know existed. Jiho, in his hoodie and mask, trailed a few feet behind. Hidden. Curious. She didn't go to the dorms. She walked into a storage shed behind the music building, glanced around quickly, and slipped inside. Jiho waited, then crept forward. His heart was pounding, and he didn't know why. He peeked through the dusty glass. Inside, Naliaka had changed into janitor clothes. Old gloves, a broom, a mop. She began cleaning fast and quietly. Jiho's eyes widened. She had a secret job. In a school where students ate gold-dusted cakes and wore designer gym shoes, Naliaka was cleaning toilets after class. He stood there for a long time, watching. The next day, he didn't say a word. But something had shifted. He stopped laughing when his friends teased other students. He didn't respond to Bowery's endless gossip. He even skipped the usual Friday house party in Gangnam. Instead, he sat in his room, thinking about her. Her silence. Her hustle, her weird strength. Meanwhile, Naliaka walked into the science lab Monday morning and found something strange. A bouquet, real flowers, wrapped in black and gold paper, with a note. "You're not invisible, Jay." She froze, her heartbeat quickened. She looked around. The lab was empty. She picked up the note and read it again. Her hands trembled slightly. Then, slowly, she smiled. Later that day, Jiho walked past her in the hallway. She didn't say anything, but her eyes met his. And for the first time, He saw it acceptance. Not friendliness, not forgiveness. Just understanding. Something inside him shifted, but peace didn't last long. That night, his father stormed into his room. "What is this I'm hearing from the headmaster?" he barked. Jiho looked up, surprised. "You've stopped attending evening prep? You skipped the elite debate finals?" "I've been studying on my own," Jiho replied. "You've been distracted," his father snapped. "And it's that girl, isn't it?" Jiho stood. "You don't know her." "I know enough. She's poor. From some tiny African country." "Kenya," Jiho snapped. "She's from Kenya, and she's smarter than anyone in this school." His father paused. His nostrils flared. "You're going to stay away from her," he said slowly. "If you don't, I'll make sure she loses her scholarship." Jiho's heart dropped. "You wouldn't." His father smiled coldly. "You want to test me?" That night, Jiho couldn't sleep. He wanted to tell Naliaka, warn her, protect her, but he knew how proud she was. She wouldn't accept his help. So he did the next best thing. He snuck out. Past curfew, hoodie on, he climbed out of his window and crossed campus. He waited behind the shed. And like clockwork, she arrived. "Naliaka," he whispered. She jumped, startled, dropping her gloves. "Jiho, what the hell are you doing here?" He stepped closer. "I know about this. The cleaning, the part-time work, everything." She went quiet. "I'm not here to shame you. I want to help." She crossed her arms. "Why now? What changed?" He looked into her eyes. "You did." Silence hung between them. The rain began again, soft at first. Then she whispered, "They'll come after me, won't they?" "Your parents." Jiho nodded. "Then why are you still here?" He hesitated. "Because I think I like you." She stared at him, water dripping down her sleeves. Then, without a word, she turned and went inside. Jiho stood there, soaked, uncertain. But for the first time in his life, he wasn't chasing popularity. He was chasing her. It started with whispers. By Tuesday morning, everyone at Daehan International had heard the rumor. Jiho was dating the cleaning girl. They didn't even say her name. In the cafeteria, whispers followed Naliaka as she walked to her corner table. Some students snickered behind their trays. Others stared boldly, like she was a museum exhibit. She ignored them, but her hands trembled when she picked up her fork. Jiho sat at his usual table with Minhyuk, Bohri, and the rest. The air was stiff. No one spoke at first. "So," Bohri finally said, raising a brow, "you're dating the scholarship girl now?" Jiho didn't flinch. "What if I am?" Minhyuk leaned forward. "You're joking, right? I mean, yeah, she's smart, but she literally scrubs our toilets." "She's not a maid," Jiho said, voice cold. "She's a student, just like us." Bohri laughed awkwardly. "This is insane. Are you trying to ruin your image? Do you know what the alumni will say?" "I don't care what anyone says," Jiho muttered. Then he stood up and left his tray behind. Across the cafeteria, Naliaka saw him coming. She didn't move. He sat beside her. Silence fell over the entire hall like someone had muted the world. "You're really brave," she said quietly. "No," Jiho replied. "I'm just tired of pretending." She looked at him, unsure whether to smile or be scared. Because this wasn't just school gossip anymore. It was war. That afternoon, Jiho was summoned to the headmaster's office. He walked in to find both his parents seated stiffly, their expressions like stone. The headmaster stood behind his desk, pale and nervous. Jiho didn't even sit. "We raised you with everything," his father said. "And this is how you repay us? Throwing your name into the mud?" Jiho said nothing. "You're going to stop seeing her," his mother said. "Immediately." "No." The room froze. His mother gasped. "What did you say?" "I said no. I'm not cutting her off. She's not the problem, you are." The headmaster cleared his throat. "Jiho, please think carefully." I have, Jiho interrupted. I've thought about this more than I've ever thought about anything, and for once, I'm choosing what's right, not what looks good. His father stood. You're grounded. No events, no driver, no card, nothing. Yiho didn't blink. Fine. And if you continue this foolishness, his mother added coldly, we'll see to it that she's expelled. Quietly, no one will even know why. Jiho clenched his fists. That night, he sent Naliaka a message. Don't come to the lab tomorrow. They're watching. We'll talk later. Please trust me. She replied. I can take care of myself, but thank you. Meanwhile, the school's student council president, Han Soo-yeon, posted a cryptic story on her private account. Some people think they can scrub their way into the elite. Spoiler, they can't. It was petty, obvious, and it went viral in the school group chat. But what none of them expected happened the next day. During the weekly student assembly, when the headmaster called for announcements, Naliaka raised her hand. Everyone turned. She walked to the stage. Calm, dignified. I know there are rumors going around, she said, voice clear. Accent soft but proud. So let me make one thing clear. She paused. I'm not ashamed of cleaning floors. I'm not ashamed of my skin, or my name, or my country. Whispers echoed through the crowd. And if you think someone's value depends on money or where they come from, maybe you don't belong in a school that's supposed to teach us global citizenship. Silence. A few students clapped. Then more. Then the whole hall. Jiho stood in the back, watching. His heart thudded. She had just declared war without fear. And she'd won. After the assembly, Naliaka became a name on everyone's lips. Some called her brave. Others whispered that she was delusional. The elite kids had never been publicly challenged like that before, especially not by someone with no last name legacy, no family fortune, and worst of all, no fear. In the library, Jiho found her again. I didn't ask you to fight my battles, he said softly. Naliaka didn't look up from her notebook. You didn't, but I was tired of waiting for someone to fight mine. He smiled. You were incredible. She looked up, finally. You shouldn't be seen with me so much. I don't care. You should. He pulled a chair and sat beside her anyway. My father tried to bribe the school to suspend you. Naliaka blinked. What? Yeah. Said you violated protocol by addressing the assembly unannounced. The headmaster refused. Said you inspired students. She laughed under her breath. That's wild. That's Daehan. That weekend, Jiho sneaked out again. He met Naliaka by the abandoned music hall where no one ever went. It was dark, cold, and echoey. I got you something, he said, pulling out a white hoodie with her name embroidered on the sleeve. Her jaw dropped. Why would you do this? Because every time you wear it, they'll know you're mine. She hesitated. That's dangerous. Then it's perfect. As they leaned closer, their hands barely touching, the door creaked. They jumped apart. Someone had seen them. Monday morning, the gossip had evolved. Now it wasn't just whispers. It was pictures. A blurry photo of Jiho and Naliaka standing close behind the music hall made it to the student group chat titled Elite Leaks. The caption, Daehan's prince and the mop queen. Che? Naliaka sat through math class feeling everyone's eyes on her. Jiho didn't come to school that day. By lunch, she was called into the main office. But instead of a teacher, a woman sat waiting. Flawless makeup, sleek heels, cold stare. Miss Naliaka, I am Jiho's mother. Naliaka tensed. I'll make this simple, the woman said, sliding an envelope across the table. That's $5,000. Take it and stay away from my son. Naliaka didn't touch the envelope. I don't want your money. It's not a suggestion. I know. She stood. Jiho's mother narrowed her eyes. You think you're special? You think he actually loves you? You're just a phase, a rebellion. Naliaka's voice didn't shake. Even if I am, I'm the one he chose. Then she walked out. Later that night, Naliaka got a text from Jiho. Don't listen to anything they say. I'm not giving up. Are you? Her reply was simple. Not a chance. For the first time in Daehan's history, a petition started going around. Allow equality in relationships. No more discrimination. Over 200 students signed it anonymously. The school couldn't ignore it. Meanwhile, Jiho and Naliaka started seeing each other in secret, behind stairwells, after class, during fire drills. They talked about dreams. She wanted to open a tech startup. He wanted to make music. One night, Jiho took her to the top floor of the school, where the music room was always locked. He had stolen the key years ago. He played the piano. She sang. It was magical. Your voice is better than mine, he whispered after. She smiled. Your soul is better than your reputation. They kissed. It was soft, slow, safe, and dangerous, because downstairs, Bouri had followed them. And she wasn't alone. The next morning, posters went up across campus. Photoshopped images of Naliaka holding Jiho's wallet, edited conversations that looked like she was using him for money. The title, Gold Digger from the Gutter. Naliaka froze when she saw it. Her face, her name, mocked in the hallways. She rushed to the restroom and locked herself in a stall. For the first time in months, she cried. Jiho found out during literature class. He stormed out mid-lesson and ripped the posters down one by one. His friends tried to stop him. Even teachers watched in stunned silence. He went live on the school group. To whoever did this, you're a coward. Naliaka is not a gold digger. She's brilliant, brave, and better than any of you hiding behind screens. Say it to my face next time. He ended the video. The comments exploded. Yo, he's serious. Respect. I ship them even more now, lol. But in the shadows, Bouri smirked. She had another plan. Jiho and Naliaka stayed low for the next few days. But tension was rising. Min Hyuk, once Jiho's closest friend, approached him after gym. You've changed, he said. No, I'm just awake now. You think you're better than us? No, I just finally know who I am. Min Hyuk didn't speak again. That Friday, Naliaka received a sealed envelope in her locker. Inside was a screenshot of a scholarship review request, a forged complaint claiming she had falsified her records. She panicked, ran to the headmaster. But he showed her something else, the original file, untouched. He smiled gently. Don't worry, I know the difference between truth and sabotage. Naliaka exhaled, finally. But outside the office, Bouri stood waiting, arms crossed. You're lucky, she sneered, but your luck won't last forever. That night, Naliaka and Jiho met again. I want to leave this school, she admitted. You don't have to, he said. We fight together. She looked into his eyes. And for the first time in her life, she believed someone would stay. No matter the war. The school's charity gala was the biggest event of the year. Cameras, reporters, drones flying overhead. All the students wore tailored designer outfits and rehearsed perfect smiles. Naliaka almost didn't attend. I don't belong in a place like this, she whispered as she stared at her thrifted black gown. But Jiho had planned everything. He walked into her dorm lobby with a box in hand. Inside was a custom-made silver dress with soft, glimmering layers and delicate embroidery that shimmered like moonlight. Now you do, he said, offering her his hand. They walked into the gala together. The moment they entered, everything stopped. Murmurs turned into gasps. Lights followed them. Jiho held her hand firmly, as if daring the world to challenge him. People stared. Some smirked, but others clapped. Even the headmaster stood with a proud nod. Bouri sat at a corner table, seething. This was not the plan. She texted someone under the table. Do it now. Minutes later, the stage lights dimmed for a surprise video tribute meant to showcase school achievements. But instead, a secret video began to play. It was Jiho and Naliaka behind the music hall. Their first hug, their stolen kiss. Gasps filled the room. A student screamed. A teacher tried to cut the feed, but it was too late. Everyone had seen. And Jiho's father had just walked in. Stop the music. Jiho's father stormed toward the stage, face thunderous. Naliaka froze. Jiho stepped in front of her. Appa, stop. His father's voice boomed. You've embarrassed the entire Seo family. With her? Everyone stared. Naliaka's face burned. Jiho clenched his fists. Her name is Naliaka. His father's lips curled. You are grounded indefinitely. You'll transfer to Yongchon Boys' School by Monday. And she, he pointed, is expelled. The crowd gasped. No, Jiho shouted. She didn't do anything wrong. I said out. But just then, the headmaster raised his voice. With respect, sir, you don't run this school. A hush. Mr. Seo Jiho is our student. Naliaka is our student. And your power stops at the gate. Jiho's father seethed. Do you know who I am? Yes, the headmaster replied. That's why we don't take bribes anymore. The crowd exploded with cheers. But Naliaka stood still, shaking. Jiho turned to her. We leave. Now. No, she said, voice trembling but steady. I'm not running. The spotlight stayed on them. This time, Naliaka didn't flinch. Monday morning arrived with headlines. Elite airfight system for love. Daehan international hit by romantic scandal. Students greeted Naliaka like a celebrity. People who once mocked her now smiled, gave compliment 7, asked to sit with her. But something felt off. Too perfect. She found Jiho waiting by the piano room. You okay? He asked. I should be, but I'm not. That afternoon, a journalist requested to interview her. She declined. She got offers for modeling. Declined. She just wanted peace. But Bori had one more trick. She approached Naliaka during art class. You should know, Min Hyuk recorded that video. But he got paid by someone else. Naliaka tensed. Who? Bori smiled. Why don't you ask Jiho? That night, Naliaka did. Jiho didn't deny it. I asked Min Hyuk to film us months ago. I just wanted a memory. I didn't know it'd be used. You lied to me. I didn't want to lose you. Tears welled in her eyes. I need space, she whispered. She walked away. Jiho stood in silence. For the first time, she left without looking back. Days passed. Naliaka stopped replying to messages. Stopped eating with others. Stopped singing. Jiho texted. Called. Wrote letters. No reply. He decided to give her the one thing he hadn't yet. Truth. He wrote a letter. I was a coward. I knew people would come for us, so I tried to control the story. But I forgot you were strong enough to handle it all on your own. You don't need rescuing. I do. I'm sorry. He slid it under her dorm door. Naliaka read it. Then ripped it. Then taped it back together. That weekend, the school held its talent night. Naliaka was listed to perform. Everyone waited. She didn't show. Until the lights dimmed. A soft spotlight appeared. And Naliaka walked on stage. She sat by the piano and began singing Korean. A hush fell over the auditorium. Her voice soared. Her pain bled into every note. And in the crowd, Jiho stood frozen. Then crying. Because the song was their story. And their goodbye. The final semester approached. Jiho had kept his distance. Naliaka focused on studies, applications, healing. Rumors began to fade. But the story of the Kenyan girl and the Korean heir lingered in whispers. On graduation day, they stood on opposite sides of the stage. Naliaka's name was called. Applause roared. Jiho's name was next. Cheers followed. They walked across the stage, nearly brushed hands. Didn't look at each other. Until outside, after photos and speeches, Jiho approached her by the fountain. You look happy, he said softly. I am, she replied. Going back to Kenya? No. Got a full scholarship to Yonsei University. His eyes widened. Wow. She smiled. You? Studying abroad, New York. They stood quietly. He reached into his coat and handed her a folded paper. Inside, a sketch of her from the music room, her laughing. I never stopped drawing you, he said. I never stopped singing you, she replied. They hugged. It wasn't a reunion. It wasn't goodbye. It was peace. And as they pulled away, Naliaka whispered, We were a storm. He nodded. And I'll never regret the rain. This story teaches that true strength comes from standing up for yourself, not your status. No amount of wealth, privilege, or popularity can replace character, courage, and kindness. This story teaches us that being bold, staying true to who you are, and treating others with respect can break barriers even in the most exclusive, judgmental environments. It also reminds us that cultural differences don't limit connection, they can build powerful bridges. Love and friendship grow where there's honesty and emotional growth, not money. Discipline, empathy, and change begin when we let go of pride and choose to see people for who they truly are. In the end, Naliaka's boldness transformed not just her life, but Jiho's world, his character, and even challenged his family's view of what really matters in life. Thank you so much for watching. Your support means everything kindly. Like, subscribe, and share.